Okay, just so everybody knows, this meeting is gonna be recorded, through just our Zoom recording. We're doing it that way because in that way, we didn't transfer it or anything. We can see who actually is talking instead of trying to guess whose voice is who. With that being said.
Absolutely. We will officially open today's meeting. Yeah, it's July the 16th at approximately 10:05 a.m. and we will go around the room. Start the motion.
Second.
Carol, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, meeting's officially in and we will go around the room starting. Introduce ourselves.
Commissioner.
Audrey Tillis, County Administrator.
Tim Fortunato, Director of Purchase.
Pat Genetti, sanitary engineer.
Jill Prince, office manager, signature.
Jim Tressa, senior project manager, Rudzik Excavating.
Jeff Rudzik, President, Rudzik Excavating.
Erica Cassis, director of finance and business sanitary.
Holly Gooden, deputy clerk.
Carol Rigetti, Commissioner.
Anthony Trafficani, Commissioner. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over. So yeah, speak up. It's our turn. All right, Audrey.
Um,
Oh,
So-
Mr. John Haynes, from the prosecutor's office.
And I asked everyone if you kind of can speak up, that way we make sure that we do record. I have, sometimes my voice trails down, so I'm gonna try to be good too. But basically, I'm just gonna open the meeting and then I'm gonna turn it over to you guys after I open the meeting. And just kind of go down through just a quick summary of where we are today. We are here today at the request of Rudzik Excavating, requesting the meeting under Ohio General Provision 9.312 on the Lake Mountain Water Line Project 513. Project bids were opened on May 8, 2024. Rudzik Excavating was the lowest bidder. The county notified the low bidder of its acceptance of the low bid and intent to award Rudzik the contract once all the required bid documents were received and signed. To accomplish this, a letter was sent on May 30th, 2024 to Rudzik Excavating, seeking missing contract documents, including Rudzik's certificate of insurance, a signed project labor agreement, and collective performance bond. On the Burgess Run project 531, project bid was opened May 8th, 2024. Rudzik Excavating was the lowest bidder. The county notified the low bidder of its acceptance of the low bid and intent to award Rudzik the contract once all the required bid documents were received and signed. To accomplish this, a letter was sent on June 11, 2024 to Rudzik Excavating, seeking missing contract documents, including the certificate of insurance and a signed project labor. On June 25th, 2024, a second letter was sent to Rudzik for both projects, asking for the signed project labor agreement by June 26th, 2024 at 4 p.m. so that the contract could be awarded. Rudzik did not provide a signed project labor agreement and notified the board in writing and orally that it was refusing to execute the project labor agreement in accordance with the bid plans, details, and specifications that were part of the bid package. On July 5th, 2024, the commissioners conducted a meeting and by resolution notified Rudzik that it was non-responsive. Rudzik was notified of the resolution and sought this meeting under General Provision 9.312. We are here today at this meeting to hear Rudzik's protests, and at this time, we basically, where this meeting will go is you provide your information, why you're not signing the DLA, and that information will take under consideration. This is not like a back and forth dialogue, but just basically for you to state your position and put that position formally in the record.
Well, thank you first for meeting with us today. We have made it clear from the beginning that we have objections to this discriminatory document that is inserted in the county contract. We have met with you previously, years ago, and at the time, David, we weren't in full support of the PLA. We had a good sit down, a good conversation at the upstairs in Austintown, yourself, myself, Jeff, Pat. As soon as something has changed and you are in 100% lockstep, full support of these project labor agreements, I don't believe they're good for the county. I believe there's other ways to reach your goals, if it is finding qualified contractors, reputable contractors. I don't believe you need to use PLA for that. It seems like it's always a forum where I talk and you say, okay, thank you, and we move on. I've never once had the opportunity to have a discussion. I know we've requested meetings. You have not responded positively to those. We haven't been able to sit down. So it brings us to today. When I'm bidding these projects, I have to consider all costs that go into the project. When I have questions about costs that will materially affect my bid, I submit pretty good questions. And I did. And I submitted questions to the sanitary department. They were given to the prosecutor's office. It took 11 days to respond within hours of the bid opening. And they basically told me to ask the unions. They told me that my questions were not pertinent to the technical specifications of the contract. But upon receiving a rejection letter, all of a sudden they are pertinent to the specifications of the contract. You cite twice in your rejection letter. Board of Mahoning County Commissioners hereby finds the refusal of Rudzik Excavating to execute the project labor agreement in accordance with the bid specifications on these two projects. My questions that were responded to by Mr. Donald Duda says the first, third, and fourth inquiries do not request technical specifications for the performance of the project. Well, they do. My questions, legitimate, materially impacting my bid questions. Section 5 that was issued in the addendum states, nothing in this agreement requires employees to join a union or pay dues or fees to a union as a condition of working on the covered project. I've had multiple lawyers look at that. They agree that throughout the body of the PLA, there are terms that still require the non-union contractor to contribute to the union. So I requested a little clarification on that. It was not given. I asked that all existing employees, can they perform the work on the project? I said the only union labor required will be that of a new hire, which is still saying that we have to be in coordination with the union. But I said current non-union employees hold seniority and are entitled to the first work opportunities. Also, the agreement says the union shall have a right to designate a working employee of the project as a steward. I asked clarification if one of my current employees will be designated the steward. If not, the steward, and the steward is to be a current union worker, who will pay for their time. This union appointed steward, if not a current employee, will be in addition to my crew. It was responded that that was not pertinent to the technical specification of the project. Well, it materially affects my bid. And that's the reason you rejected my bid, but you couldn't answer the question. So if the prosecutors can't answer a materially impacting question, and the commissioners cannot answer this question, the terms of the contract are not clear. How am I to execute a contract when nobody can define the terms of the agreement? How do I put a bid together? And again,
How do you sign a PLA? You don't know how to, when it's not clear how it affects you, how do you sign it? So it brings up the resolution of the PLA. And again, there's no dollar figure stated. And again, the one contract is well below your verbal number of $1 million. $570,000 roughly is the bid. And you stated $1 million. Pretty big discrepancy, that's me. How do you determine that's just the way it is? We have two copies of the PLAs that were provided. One was in the original documents, one was provided in an addendum. I'd like to show you both copies and you tell me which one is which. There is no date on any of the resolutions. There is no copy number, certificate number. There's no way for you to designate, or someone else working for you to designate which PLA to put into the contract specs. In the resolution, Did you ever vote to include the PLA in these bid documents? My understanding, you did not. I know it's not back and forth, but that's a question. So if the resolution basically always reverts back to non-PLA and has to be voted by your resolution to be included, and it wasn't included, wasn't voted on by a resolution, how is that right? And then we go to the taxpayers. Your job is to do the best job for the taxpayer to save that money. We've talked all around this table about different work we've done for the county, where we've worked, what we've done. No problems with our work. And there's nothing you can say that it is worth on these two projects alone. We go back to East Alliance, where your votes cost taxpayers over $100,000 by putting a PLA in that project. We all remember that one. Then we go to Summit Drive. And we go to Summit Drive and you went to the fourth highest bidder instead of the low bidder.
Summit
East
Drive.
Alliance was the first one. Summit Drive was the second one.
What year was East Alliance?
They were under your guys' reign.
10, 12 years old, yeah.
In the last 10 years.
I think it was before 13, before we got in office. I don't recall, they were 8, 9, 10, 11, somewhere around there, 12.
So those were the first two. We were low bid on East Alliance. It was taken from us and given to a union contractor. That's what happened. $101,000. Summit Drive, you didn't not only not go with the low bidder or the second low bidder or third low bidder, you went with the fourth bidder. That makes sense. Cost taxpayers a little bit more money.
What year was that?
I don't have the
Do you
dates
remember
written down.
these? No. Were these sanitary projects?
Yes.
Jimmy would have that. Or Pat.
We have it.
Go ahead.
I just don't know off the top of my head.
All right.
They were before you were here too.
Summit was prior as well.
Yeah.
You can look at it.
So none of this board was assembled.
Some of the board was, yes. You might not have been here at that point. The rest of it. Beyond that, you have a water tower in Canfield where you inserted a PLA in the project. And because you inserted a PLA in the project, you got 0 bids. So it still cost the taxpayer dollars because your engineers had to put the contracts together and advertise them. And do everything they have to do to make a legal notice, a legal bid, and no bid showed up. Then we move on to these two projects. You want everyone to sign this PLA between these two projects. I know I'm not signing the PLA. It's not clear. Answers were never given. I don't believe your resolution is correct. I will not sign it. It's cost us money. It's not fair to my employees. You know, it's one thing for a company owner. It's company owner. It doesn't cost me any more money. Straight up, if it doesn't. It's the employees. You hurt every employee there is. You hurt them and their families. You're taking money out of their pocket. It's not taking it out of my pocket. If I use my own workforce, it doesn't cost me anything. The same thing. I go to work every day. I set them up. I give them the same equipment. They have everything the same. All you're doing is you're taking that fringe, and instead of them taking it home with them, or putting it in their own accounts that they already have set up, you're taking their fringe and you're giving it to the union bodies. That's all that's happening. They're losing the whole fringe. You're hurting the employees and their families in the county. So again, we move on to these two projects. You're willing, obviously, to say we're going to put a PLA in these projects, and you're going to cost the county taxpayers. It's $440-some thousand between the two contracts. You're willing to throw $440,000 away. We've already discussed East Alliance and Summit where it's 100 and whatever thousand. We threw that away before. Maybe it was on everyone's watch, but it was thrown away. And now we're gonna throw just under $500,000 away for contractors who work for the county all the time. We've done emergency work for the county. We're bonded, we're insured. We have every piece of equipment we need to do the work, but we're not good enough to do the work because if we don't sign the PLA, we're not good enough. If we sign the PLA, we're good enough. Makes absolute no sense to anyone. It's wrong for the taxpayers. It's wrong for everyone here.
And if we want to talk about the reasoning for PLAs, from what I hear from you commissioner gets there in particular, what are the reasons? Timely completion. I don't know any of our projects that have ever went past the completion date where we've been assessed liquidated damages. I can't recall of any one project that's happened. Workmanship. We've never had a workmanship problem with the county. Contracting is a tough business, but if there is a workmanship issue, it's not just non-union. There are plenty of union projects in this county that have not been completed to the technical specifications. We've been called to repair multiple projects. Talking Loves. We're talking 5 Points. A sewer that was just installed a couple of years ago, we had to go down there because it was squashed. You could hardly get a camera through there. That was performed by a union contractor. And I'm not anti-union, just saying your argument for proper workmanship is out the window. We excavated that trench. It wasn't even backfilled. Okay? So the workmanship, the PLA is not going to do anything for it. All of these reasons that you say, and there's no rebuttals, there's never any back and forth. So you can say whatever you like, and your subpar workmanship on our end, you've never seen it, and you've never heard it. It can happen, but it happens with the union contractors as well. So I still have questions about the PLA. Like, we want to do this work. We want to save the taxpayers money, and we know we can. We bid those jobs, and there's no change order. If there's a change order, it's a problem with the bid set of documents, the specs and the plans, and it's an unforeseen, and that happens on any project. We put a number, we submitted the pricing, and that's how we want to perform the job, whatever that costs. And we can do it, and we want to. And you're not giving my guys the shot. We can do a $20 million sanitary sewer project for you right now. No issues, no staffing issues, no workmanship issues, no completion time issues, no harmonious disagreements. There's no issues. $20 million. So we can do a $500,000 job for the county. But if we sign a piece of paper, then bang, we're in business. And it makes no difference, except that my guys will now have to support an organization that they're not a part of. Questions? Does the PLA require union membership? Nobody can answer. Because nobody knows. Maybe the union knows. I had less than 48 hours to ask them these questions. These other contractors didn't have the burden of trying to determine these additional costs. It was an undue burden on myself putting these two projects together that you imposed on me with this project labor agreement. There was another qualified non-union contractor that didn't even submit pricing because of the PLA, because they don't want to fight. That's Yeri. They're in Columbiana, and they're qualified. And they said, we're not bidding, can't bid. We can't deal with this. Bite my tongue on it, but you know that I think it's wrong. I don't think you're doing it because it's in the best interest of the taxpayers. You're doing it because it's an election year and you need some votes. And that's what I think. So that's my opinion. I'm free to say it. I think you have a political benefit to this decision. Who wrote the PLA? Did the prosecutor's office write the PLA? Commissioner? Did the unions? Who wrote it? Who can interpret it? Commissioners? Prosecutors? I can't find somebody to interpret this, but you want me to blindly sign it. Whose idea was it to remove Section 2? Commissioners, prosecutors, the union? Is the PLA specs or not specs? Commissioners, prosecutors? Is the PLA specs or not? Because my questions were not specs, but then rejection, it is specs. We have a little problem there. How does the signing piece of paper make my work better? Does that change anything with my guys on the ground? Will it promote timely completion? Who will be overseeing it from the union? Who's the steward? Is it my guy? Commissioners? Prosecutors? Does anyone know? This is the same thing, and the taxpayers see this. I'm glad that the news cameras came, and I'm going back on the radio because you, Dave, you want to meet me Friday? You want to meet me Monday? on the radio so we can actually have a back and forth, so you're not hiding behind these meetings where there's no back and forth? Because I would love to civilly
See, Mr.
discuss this
Tressa,
with you.
no one makes this political but you.
I
4
didn't think the
years,
Democratic chair.
4 years ago, you made it political, and this year you've made it political. And it's all geared at politics from your standpoint. We are advised by the prosecutor. This PLA's been in effect long before I do. So you come here and you reference all these projects and point the finger at me, and they're all projects before I was even commissioner. Everything that you've done has geared around attacking me, whether it's on the radio, whether it's in person, whether it's factual or half-truths. That's what you've turned this into. So you think by trying to destroy me, that you're doing good for your company or for the county or for the taxpayers. We follow the law. We abide by the prosecutor's opinion, the process, the procedure. We do what's in the best interest as a group, as a board of the taxpayers of Mahoning County. I make no decision on my own. We speak through resolution in an open meeting. And if it's not passed by a majority of the board, it doesn't exist. But yet you seem to want to attack me daily and think it's geared about what I do or what I don't do. It's not. We do in the best interest of the taxpayers. That's why there's been hundreds of millions of dollars of projects placed into the bid opportunities for businesses. And we look at them as a whole. So this has nothing to do with union, non-union. It has nothing to do with Rudzik or any other company. It has to do with 240,000 residents doing the best job, and everything isn't always the last dollar. There's many low bids that have been accepted that have been bad choices. You know, it doesn't always come, it's best and lowest bid. So that's.
It
what
should
you
always
did.
be, but now you're going back to a technical spec. You keep throwing this PLA out, and that's where it changes.
We-
You change it,
we-
your board changed
You know,
it.
we
You didn't change it
and
yourself.
this,
You're
you know,
correct. The three of you changed it. This is not directed, you
No.
you made it personal
the three of us
You made
have
it
not
personal by
changed the
attacking my
PLA.
family. by taking bids away from my family. My kids work for the family. You're attacking my family. My family is my company. You're
You're attacking
I-
my family on the
I have not
radio.
attacked you.
You're
I have
attacking
not
my
attacked
family.
you one time.
Mr.
I have
Tressa, your
never, ever
company
done that.
have attacked
And
my
that's what you
family.
said, but that's not true.
The same
The
difference.
fact is, you made it personal to me, my family, my
No,
people who work for me are my family.
no, my,
You've attacked them, the board has, by rejecting them to work in their own county. You've done that,
no,
and you're right. You voted as a group to do that. You not do that by yourself. I agree 100%. It takes all three of you. All three of you attack my family.
Nobody's attacking.
When you
Let's
take
just-
work off our
let me
own
tell you,
table,
let's-
our own plate,
Please,
well,
let's just
please,
get on.
that's the way it is.
The meeting according to the ORC, let's just listen to what you have to say and let's get on with it. Let's not start this back.
And it's the same thing again. We were able to say that there's no conversation.
Well, there
and
will be in due time.
In due time. Who wrote the PLA?
David, if this is in the best interest. of the
why
taxpayers,
direct things to me?
Because it's always
This
just.
is-
me.
this is
No,
an
our-
interaction.
this is the
Commissioners.
board.
And
Anthony is the chair of the board. We're
Commissioners.
listening to,
if this is in the best
input.
interest of the taxpayers, I invite all three commissioners to tell the taxpayer how it's in their best interest. Why wouldn't you want to scream that from the mountaintops if it's in the best interest? Let's go. Let's tell these people. Let's go on the River Show. Let's go on Verb or any other format you want. Let's sit down with Jerry in their studio and talk about it. Because people call my office. Like I said in my last meeting remarks, I got 2 calls from people I don't even know. They said they're trying to sneak this meeting. That's not my words. I have it right here on this phone. You can listen. It's incredible. I think the people want to know what is the truth because they're only hearing it from me. And I want them to hear the truth. I don't want it to be just me, but you're hiding. You won't come on.
We follow the
You're hiding
ORC
behind
as interpreted by the prosecutor's office. You have made yourself a self-proclaimed expert on the ORC, and you've come to our meetings time and time again and said we violate the ORC.
I agree.
Well, time and time. So you need to discuss that with well, for 20 years, that same PLA has been in effect, 20 years. And no one's challenged it. No one said it violates the ORC. I think that somebody would have interpreted it the same way of you if it was actually factual in your interpretation.
Again, just so we're clear, there have been multiple changes to PLA. It's not the same one. And as I said, we have 2 copies and we can give you them and you can tell me which one's in. Because if I look at them, I can't tell. Because there's no date on them. There's no dollar amount on them. There's no copy number or change number. There's no way to determine. You get to Pat's office supposed to put it in a contract. You give them 3 copies, which one's supposed to be in there? You can't tell. No one knows.
I
No one knows. That's why
agree
we'd like
with
to
you
know.
there.
I'd like to know
agree with you
who
there.
wrote it, because if you wrote it, you'll know. So if we give you the copies, you'll know that, right?
We didn't write it.
Who wrote it?
The prosecutor's office interprets
So the
it.
prosecutor's office wrote it?
So
Then who wrote
it's
it?
been in effect longer than I've been here, so it's another thing that predates us.
So we need to know,
Guys,
is the PLA part of the spec?
yes,
Okay, so my questions are part and parcel to the spec.
it's part of the bid package.
They are a materially impacting question that I need a response on, so I can accurately know where I'm at with these comments.
They have it. They have the addendum, and the addendum has the correct
Section
copy.
18,
Section 8, Article 18.
So
Section
Dave,
1.
Anthony,
By resolution, which one did you vote on? You don't know either. That's fine. There's no date on it. There's no copy number on it. There's no way to tell which one's which.
But you do,
That's why the wrong one was in the original spec. I don't know.
right, but everybody was given ample time, plus an extended time.
and Audrey, we met with you before the bids, so we could get some clarification on this, right? And what was it? It was the same thing. I'll listen to your comments, I'm not gonna respond. It's the same thing as this meeting, it's the same thing as the commissioners meeting. It's not a response. You hear what we say, and then you just put it in the trash bin. You have given us no answers, no response. You had your prosecutor's office issue me a thing saying, check with the unions. Within hours of the bid opening, check with the unions. It's right here. I see your little puzzling look on your face. Don Duda, right there. Says it right here. Look, the final inquiry will need to be addressed with the union.
But you don't say the question. The question, you asked a question about a union that wasn't a county issue or a county
But it's
question.
part of the technical spec.
It's technical specs. Article 10, Section 9 states, it is agreed that overtime is undesirable, not in the best interest of the industry or workers. Therefore, except in unusual circumstances, overtime will not be worked. We work 410s, and we like to get half a day in on Friday. Our guys want that 5th day. They don't want to be home on Fridays. They want to be working. My crews prefer working 45 to 50 hours per week, utilizing 10-hour days. This increases productivity. It promotes early completion. That sounds pretty good too. In addition, the employees would make more money, which they prefer. Okay? 3 pretty good points. Please clarify that working hours will not be restricted in any way. Okay? And what do you say? The 5th and final inquiry will need to be addressed with the union. All right? So I hope that clears that up. I think it's pertinent to my bid. We didn't get any good responses. So we would need those responses and we'll take a look at it. Just like I said in that meeting, Carol, we'll take a look at anything. But I need to know what we're signing. Nobody at this table knows what we're signing. Nobody sitting at these 2 chairs back there knows what we're signing. But you want to reject my bid based on spec or not spec, but I think it is spec. I think everything's spec. So you didn't respond to my questions. So I don't even know what I'm signing. So I would like to take this opportunity to invite all 3 commissioners to have a discussion, a back and forth, because it is so incredibly good for the Mahoning County taxpayer. It's so good for the project. Anytime, Friday, Monday, we can do it this afternoon, but I'm so serious about that. Timely completion. I want to work more hours, be more productive, and finish early. Timely completion. Sounds like that PLA would restrict my ability to complete early. I mean, it's that, I said it last time, it's pretty shameful, you won't even back and forth with me, and if it's in the hallway. But I'd like to go on the record.
Right, is there anything else?
Yeah, I can go on over there.
Questions, comments?
Mr. Genetti, is there a problem with our work? you know, I noticed the street department, the county road department has no PLAs. Why is that?
We followed pre-qualifications.
Oh, pre-qualifications, that's the way to qualify your contractor, right? Makes sense.
And contracts, they already have a lot of provisions for time of completion.
Who deals with the contract when it goes bad? They're saying time of completion. Who deals with it? You, your office?
Yeah, it'll come to me.
Oh, that's interesting.
Anything else? Thank you. Thank you. This concludes our meeting. Motion to adjourn.
Sure.
Second.
Carol?
Yes.
Dave? And yes. We're now adjourned. Thank you.